Have you ever looked at your career and thought, I know I'm good at what I do, so why does it feel like I'm still trying to prove myself? You deliver, people trust you. When something important needs to get done, your name comes up. And yet, when bigger opportunities, career defining ones, are discussed, your name may not come up in the same way. That experience can make you question yourself. Maybe I need to work harder. Maybe I need one more credential. Maybe I need to be more patient. But what if the issue is not your performance? What if you are excellent at your work, but your excellence is not translating into the career that you want? That is the conversation that I want to have with you today. If we have not met, I'm Georgia Wolfe-Samuels. I'm a career strategist, former corporate executive and CPA in public accounting, author, and entrepreneur. After spending more than 2 decades inside corporate environments, I now help ambitious women build a career power to create meaningful success without losing themselves. And this conversation is personal for me because I spent years believing that excellent work would eventually speak for itself. I spent more than 2 decades working inside corporate environments, and one of the things I came to understand is this: doing excellent work and building a powerful career are connected, absolutely, but they are not the same thing. For a long time, I believed the formula was simple: work hard, do what you say you're going to do, stay committed, be prepared, be dependable, treat people well, and eventually the right people will notice. Maybe you were taught the same thing, right? There is nothing wrong with that advice. It is simply incomplete because your work does not actually speak for itself. People speak about your work. People decide what your work means. They decide whether your contribution makes you a strong employee or a trusted problem solver or someone that they can imagine leading at a higher level. Those are very different things. You can be doing incredible work while the people making decisions see you as the person who keeps everything running. They value you, they depend on you, and they have become very comfortable with you exactly where you are. That is where a lot of high performing women find themselves. They are ready for more, but the organization has built its own expectations around the role they already play. Let me say something that may feel a little bit uncomfortable. Being needed is not the same as being valued. I know two things can feel identical. When everyone comes to you, it feels like proof that you matter. When your manager says, I do not know what we would do without you, it sounds like recognition. When you are the person who knows the process, fixes the problems always, trains the new employee, calms the client, and keeps the team together, it is easy to believe that being indispensable gives you power. And sometimes it does. But sometimes being indispensable keeps you in the same place. If you are the only person who can do what you do, the organization may be more focused on keeping you there than helping you to move. Your reward for being reliable becomes more work. Your reward for solving problems becomes more problems. And while you are becoming more essential to your current role, you may not be becoming more visible for the next one that you truly want. So, have you ever experienced that? People constantly tell you how much they appreciate you, but the appreciation never becomes authority. It never becomes compensation, opportunity, or access. That is the difference between being needed and being valued. When you are needed, people know they can give you more. When you are valued, they understand the significance of what you contribute and they are willing to attach something meaningful to it. Meaningful, such as a title, a seat at the table, greater decision making authority, maybe even better compensation, a larger opportunity. That distinction matters. Many of us have been trying to build careers by becoming increasingly useful, but usefulness alone does not determine how far you grow. And at some point, people also need to understand your impact, right? Think about it. The way you describe your work, most people talk about responsibilities. I managed this process, or I led this meeting, or I prepared this report, or I support this team. But responsibilities tell people what you do. They do not always tell people why it matters. So imagine that you redesigned a process. That is the activity. But what changed because you redesigned it? Did the team save time? Did you reduce errors? Did you protect revenue? Did you minimize expenses? Did clients receive a better experience? Did leadership get clearer information? Did you make it possible for the business to grow without adding more people? That is the value. And this is where I want you to pause and think about your own work. If someone asked what difference you make, rather than listing tasks that you complete, could you answer clearly, right? A lot of highly capable people struggle with that question. They are creating value every single day. They have simply never been taught how to translate their work into language that decision makers recognize. So they keep doing more. They keep hoping the volume of the work will make the value obvious. But more work does not always create more visibility. Sometimes it only creates more exhaustion. I have come to see three different conversations happening around your career. The first conversation is about performance. Can you do the job? Can people trust you to deliver? Can you produce strong results? That conversation matters, but it usually proves that you are capable of doing the job that you are already doing, right? The current one that you have. The second conversation is about reputation. What do people believe about you? When your name comes up, what words follow it? Dependable, thoughtful, strategic, brilliant, supportive, details, great in crisis, not quite ready, too quiet, hard to read. Your reputation is the story people have formed from their experience with you. And then there is positioning. Where can people imagine you going next? Can they see you leading a larger team, owning a more strategic initiative, representing the company externally, advising senior leadership? This is where excellence alone can fall short. You may have already proven that you can perform, but have you helped people imagine you at the next level? That question requires different choices. It may require you to speak before every detail is perfect. It may require you to share your point of view instead of only presenting the data. It may require you to tell people what kind of opportunity that you want. It may require you to build relationships outside the small group of people who already know your work. And I understand why that can feel uncomfortable because performance feels safer. You can control the quality of the document. You can prepare longer. You can double check the numbers. You can stay late and make sure nothing goes wrong. Positioning feels more vulnerable on the other hand. You have to be seen. You have to express ambition. You have to let people know that you want something before you know whether they will give it to you or not. So many women return to the place where they feel most confident. They work harder, they make themselves even more useful, they earn another credential, they wait until their work is perfect, and they hope that someone will connect the dots. But other people may not connect those dots for you. You may have to help them understand the story. You have to give them the ammunition. And that does not mean becoming boastful. It does not mean pretending you did everything alone. It does not mean turning every conversation into a commercial about yourself. What it does mean is learning how to talk about your contributions without apologizing for it. There's a difference between saying, I'm amazing, and saying, here is what changed because I led this work. One is a claim, the other is evidence. That is not bragging. That is context. And context matters because the people making decisions are often too far removed from your daily work to understand the full impact. Your manager may know, your immediate team may know, but what happens when your manager leaves? What happens when the organization restructures? What happens when a promotion is discussed in a room where no one has directly worked with you? A supportive manager is valuable, but one person cannot be your entire career strategy. Your value needs more than one witness. That does not mean that you need to network with everyone in the building. It does mean that you have to be intentional about who understands how you think, how you lead, and what you are capable of contributing. Who has seen you solve a difficult problem? Who has heard your ideas? Who understands your strengths? Who understands your aspirations? Who could speak about your work, about your leadership when you are not present? Those relationships are often built long before an opportunity appears. They are built through the question you ask in a meeting, the insight that you share with a leader, the relationship you maintain across departments, the collaboration that you do across departments, the project you choose because it exposes you to a different part of the business, the conversations where you finally say, this is the kind of work I would like to do next. And that brings us to a question that sounds simple but can be surprisingly difficult to answer. What do you actually want? Not what will look impressive, not what your family expects, not what the next title is on the traditional ladder. What do you want your work and your life to look like now? Maybe you want the promotion. Maybe you want more influence. Maybe you want more flexibility or a different kind of work. Maybe you want to build something of your own. Or maybe you are no longer interested in proving that you can survive an environment that keeps draining you. Your answer is allowed to change. The career you wanted 10 years ago may not be the career that you want today. But will you tell yourself the truth about what it is that you want? You cannot position yourself for it. You will keep saying yes because people trust you. You will keep collecting achievements that move you further into a life you did not consciously choose. You can be successful on paper and still feel disconnected from your own career. That is why I talk about career power. Career power is not about dominating a room. It is not about manipulating people. And it is not about giving a version of the corporate game that requires you to become someone you do not respect. Career power is your ability to direct your career, your ability to do it intentionally. It is knowing the value you create. It is being able to communicate that value. It is understanding how decisions are made. It is building relationships before you urgently need them. It is making your aspirations visible, and it is creating enough options That fear does not make every decision for you because options change the way you move. When you believe this job is your only option, you tolerate things differently. You negotiate differently. You speak differently. You may stay silent because the risk feels too high. But when you have strong relationships, current skills, financial confidence, financial awareness, visibility in your field, and a clear sense of what you offer, you begin to move with more agency. You are no longer waiting for one organization to decide whether you are valuable. You know what you carry. You know how to carry your value with you. That does not mean that every time something becomes difficult, you run. It means staying becomes a choice and leaving becomes a real possibility. That is power. So maybe the next step in your career is not doing more. Maybe it is looking differently at what you're already doing. Where are you creating value that has never been clearly communicated? Where have you become deeply needed but not meaningfully rewarded? What are people learning about you from the way you currently show up? Can they see your leadership or only your labor? Do the right people understand where you want to grow? And are you building options outside the opportunity you are waiting for? You do not have to solve all of this today, but I do want you to stop assuming that working harder is always the answer. Sometimes the answer is being clearer. Sometimes it is becoming more visible. Sometimes it is having the conversation you have been avoiding. Sometimes it is setting a boundary that helps other people understand how much you have been carrying. Sometimes it is asking for the opportunity. And sometimes it is deciding that you no longer want to build your future in a place that only values how much you are willing to endure. Your excellence matters. It gave you the skills, it built your credibility, it taught people that they could trust you. But excellence becomes far more powerful when it is connected to a strategy, relationships, visibility, voice, and choice. That is how you stop simply being the person who gets the work done and begin becoming the person who intentionally shapes what happens next. So, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear, have you ever been the person everyone needed but still felt overlooked when it mattered? Tell me in the comments because I have a feeling that more women have experienced this than we openly talk about.